Alright, we've got a ton of small packages. So, let's just start getting through these one at a time. At least one of these is going to be adult in origin. It's obviously not that one. Not that one either. And we've got 3 of these, so we will try to grab the scissors without accidentally grabbing the other pair of scissors. And just starting them like that should be enough for me to open all of them. Let's do this one at a time. Let's see. That one's obviously not. This one obviously is. Kitty's triple header. What does that say? Man-Eaters Gang, Love Bitch, a Confessions of a Slutty Wife. Absolutely not for children. But yeah, there's a triple header there. I think the DVD version of that finally showed up on Amazon. It should be out for next week. Well, no, it was a slow ship, but we'll find out. That's not hentai, so there we go. Alright, but let's get through the stuff that really matters. First we have Lupin the Third, Sweet Lost Night, Blu-ray. Just trying to think if some of these, yeah, these are a lot of the late Eastern Star Discotheque stuff, which normally comes out at the end of the previous month, but whatever. So I see Region A, audio's Japanese with English subtitles only. Same underneath the slipcover, but it's probably because this is a movie, so we got the long version of the movie poster and that. Cool. Let's see, it looks like this is the way it wants to get back in its sleeve. There we go. Next up we have Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha Season 1 on Blu-ray. And I'm actually really glad to get this. It's as neat as the movie version of this was, I do still really like the way the original series here. Let's see, I see a Region A, I see a dub and sub options. I became a magical girl. Just be wary, you don't want her to befriend her. It's a very frightful ordeal. Am I mistaken? Because I did the movie poster thing there. That's actually really cool. Well, let me go back to the back here. This probably says 13 episodes. So no, this is definitely the first series. And A's definitely had some cool stuff in it. But, I don't know. There's something very special about that first season. Revenger. Was this a complete or part 1? That's the complete season. Different. No. Same underneath this cover. Yeah, that's fine. So far we've had mostly that. So it seems to be kind of a theme this week. Well, a little annoying. We've got 2 discs. Next up, we have Handyman Saitou in Another World. Saitou. You know, an entertaining enough series. Actually, did I take a look at the back of this? This is Regions A and B, so it can be imported by our European friends. Audio includes Japanese and English, so dubs and subs. So we got this, Handyman Saitou in Another World. Ooh, different underneath the slipcover. Whoa. And the disc art for this looking pretty nice too. Like last week we had Adventures Who Don't Believe in Humanity, my favorite world. Okay, that one measures distance. Regions A and B, so it can be imported. I see English and Japanese audio, so subtitled and dubbed. Yes, we got our main party there. We've got disc 1 and disc 2. A little bit of stubborn plastic, which I think I'll put on the side here so I don't lose track of it. That's still not back in there quite straight. That should do the trick. Alright, next up we've got Urusei Yatsura TV Volume 4. Blu-ray TV Volume 4, Set 4. I don't know. You call it one of those things. It's all of the above, none of the below. Once again, let's see. Region A, Japanese with English subtitles only. Which I think makes sense, because most of this series has not been dubbed, I think. Like, maybe there was some dub in some of the earlier episodes. 4. And last but not least, we have Lovely Complex on Blu-ray. Actually, let me take the slipcover off first. Different underneath the slipcover. Good, good. Then we look at the back where we see this is Region A only, but this has dub and sub. Maybe the name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. Can't tell if I've gotten this before. Chances are I probably didn't get it on Blu-ray because Discotheque Eastern Star tends to be pretty good about releasing that stuff. So I kind of go in there a little blind. But there we go. Cool beans. So, here's this week's physical anime collection update. Alright, so to start with my Friday friend, we only caught up on the 2 series he was in the middle of watching from this past season. That's Goblin Slayer Season 2, that's episodes 11 and 12. An entertaining enough rewatch. Maybe not the greatest that Goblin Slayer has to do, but I feel like it's a little more memorable than maybe the movie was. Hard to remember what happened in the movie. But, okay stuff. And then Rising of the Shield Hero, Season 3, Episodes 11 and 12. Which, again, you know, so some of the stuff they did in that last episode really pissed me off. But it was a lot easier to watch it this time. First of all, because I had already seen it and I wasn't completely pissed off. And I was watching with said friend and I had other things I could do. So, like, I was able to do laundry and stuff. But I didn't have to do that stuff. It was just, I didn't do laundry, sorry. Maybe dishes, but I think I didn't even do dishes. The point is more, you know, I kind of knew what was going on and stuff is set up, but it was interesting because some of the events of that, which I talked about that pissed me off, kind of reminded me of something else that my friend had talked about, where he had said that apparently, like, the Navajo Nation had kind of recently tried to claim that the moon was sacred and so people couldn't go there. It's just like, I don't know, it's sort of funny because I kind of consider the stuff in that last episode to be bullshit of a similar line. It's like, yeah, if you're reaching across your borders to enforce laws to people that just aren't part of your country or your group or whatever, then fuck you. And in the at least though, you know, the Navajos weren't like trying to wage war against the United States or some stupid shit like that. Whereas these people in the Rising of the Shield Hero, it's like, you know, I kind of don't care. We should just soft nuke them into oblivion and let some other civilization, I guess, take its place. But, I guess I'm curious about Season 4 at this point. It's not that Season 3 was bad. It had plenty of good things, but it was just, I don't know. It felt like maybe it's suffering a little bit from cast bloat, but maybe also setting things up that it needs to. And doing perfectly fine things with some of the characters there, but I don't know. Doesn't feel as closely knit, I suppose. Let me see. Villainous, level 99, episode 5. What happened in this episode? Some of that stuff. Some feelings moments in there. Not necessarily, oh, you're supposed to watch this and be completely empathetic or something like that, but just, yeah, I don't know. Had some nice feelings to it. I'm trying to remember what it was maybe doing at the very end of the episode, but I feel like I'm continuing to enjoy the series. It's not necessarily my favorite villainous show, but, you know, of the three of them, I guess, you know, well, obviously, if one's the best, then the other one's worse, and the other one's the middle, and I'd say this one's maybe about in the middle, but they're all still three pretty good, I would say. Let's see, Gushing Over Magical Girls, episode 6, I guess it was a thing. The show's completely obsessed with its new character. And whatever. Maybe people are watching it for its more, I guess, amusing fetishy takes. May appreciate it. I, for one, kind of want to see our main girl continue to change, I suppose. Maybe devolve. I'm not sure. Something like that. But it's not completely focusing on her. Classroom of the Elite, Season 3, Episode 6. I guess it's setting up a kind of interesting thing. Definitely curious to see what it's planning to do with this. I guess I was trying to think if I would try to describe what's going on in there. It doesn't feel like the same exact stuff from the other seasons, I guess, but it's not bad per se. I don't know. Dr. Elise, the Royal Lady with the Lamp, episode 5, continuing to be very nice in its own way. I would say this one is my least favorite of 3, and I'm still enjoying it quite a lot. Like I said, there is some elements of it that feel like it is, you know, a little convenient for the plot, but not necessarily unwatchable or anything like that. And instead, it's finding good excuses to, I guess, do interesting things. What happened at the end of it, though? What was it trying to set things up? I don't know, but it does continue to set up some of the right kind of cool stuff. Delicious in Dungeon, episode 6. Yes. Okay, yeah, entertaining enough episode. I'm trying to remember what all happened to it, but once again, Delicious in Dungeon just continues to be a show. It's not one that you watch to say, oh, this is the most gripping story. It's one that you're like, oh yeah, it's being kind of clever and thought-provoking and amusing, and it continues to be that, I think. Instant Death Ability, episode 6. I think it's continuing to just be kind of nice. Maybe not necessarily spectacular, but kind of nice. I'm trying to think if I can explain exactly what might feel off about it, I suppose. But that prevents it from feeling like great or something like that. But I don't know. It's good enough. Sasaki and Peeps, episode 6. I guess it's interesting enough development stuff. It's like, if there's any complaint I have about it, it's that our man is finding himself sucked into more and more harem-y sort of reality. But it hasn't been bad. Just something to note, I suppose. Let's see, The Unwanted Undead Adventure, episode 6. Let's see, it's covering the exam, and so far it's been entertaining enough. A good fantasy show that continues to just stay kind of fun and entertaining. You know, maybe not like high art per se, but definitely really well executed and just entertaining to continue to watch. Free Run, episode 22. Off episode in between important stuff, but, you know, kind of a fun one. I mean, if they didn't have an episode like this, then what were they going to do with Stark? They needed to make sure Stark was there. You know, Fern, of course, continuing to show some of her, this is why I wouldn't want to have her as a friend, but maybe not absolutely bad. A lot more tolerable this time because she wasn't being just a bad person. This time it's just like, she's being pouty again. Let's see, The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, episode 6. I guess some entertaining stuff and some progression. I've mentioned before that I really need the series to, I guess, yeah, I need it to not be an, okay, this is, he's training the anime. And this episode is definitely making sure that's set up to be an important thing. Maybe it's training about the most important thing that he's missing at the moment, maybe, in an indirect way. But it seems to be setting up more for interesting activities to happen. The Weakest Tamer began a journey to pick up trash, episode 5. Let's see. Yeah, nice stuff. One thing that did surprise me is our character did make another friend, which doesn't make him powerful, but definitely, I guess, gives him a little something to work with that I felt like they didn't have before. So, interesting enough stuff. Let's scroll down to get everything else in view. Notepad, you know. Solo Leveling, episode 6. Entertaining enough stuff. If there was any complaint I'd have about this episode, it's kind of along the same lines as a lot of Solo Leveling has been. This is probably a show that's really spectacular to binge watch, but sometimes you watch it and it's like, okay, it did cover just enough to feel a little satisfied, but I do feel like it also delays certain things that we would rather know. So, for example, this one had a couple of side flashes to characters who are important, but not necessarily important to our main character, at least not yet. Which kind of makes it feel like it's wasting our time a little bit. And it almost feels like it's kind of, maybe not frustrating, but kind of because it feels like we wanted to see what happens after the events of this as well, which is a good lead into the next episode. But it also felt like maybe we would have gotten a little bit of that if they hadn't done all that other stuff. Oh well. Let's see. The Strongest Tanks Labyrinth Raids, episode 6. Some of this stuff just does not make sense. I mean, what's going on is fine, and the fact that it's trying to make sure our main character is actually doing raids is fine, and some of the stuff it reveals is fine. I guess it introduced, these are big guilds, and I'm like, that person's supposed to be a high-level person in charge of it? He seems like a complete motherfucking retard. Like, he acts like he's a very informed person, but Jesus Christ. He speaks more out of his ass than his head. I don't know. It feels like it's unconvincing that he's a major player in a big guild like that. But whatever. Tales of Wedding Rings, episode 6. Again, a lot better when it's not dealing with those fucking elves. You know, there's a couple elves, again, who are just fine, and, you know, the one elf princess that is traveling with him is a pretty fun character to watch. His interaction, I actually really like the main character's interaction with the new cat lady person. And this episode was just fun about a lot of stuff. If there's anything I would complain about, it's not something that's different than what I would have expected, but at the same time, it feels kind of weird when a show, I guess, pedestalizes sex, so to speak, which isn't to say that some of the decision to, okay, be careful about doing it is wrong. It just sort of feels like it's making that a special thing that, I don't know, makes sense and is actually necessarily respectful to all the characters. I mean, truth be told, it is respectful to our main character's interaction with the main girl, and I think that's a good, important thing, but at the same time, I can't help but feel like some of the characters are actually being cheated because of that. And I don't feel cheated as an audience member, but I just can't help but feel like, I don't know, it feels like it has some weird premises and assumptions and holdovers to it that I'm not sure if I consider those necessarily to be a good trait or not. Maybe if the anime was saying there's a time and a place, but it seems to be going a little bit further than that. So, weird stuff. Fluffy Paradise, episode 7.
Okay, yeah. Interesting that there's more developmental stuff happening and not just, oh, yes, our main character is just going from one floofy to the next. It's actually doing a world building thing. A kind of story arc that maybe doesn't have an obvious destination, so it has some weakness in that regard. But entertaining enough stuff. Banished from the Heroes Party, Season 2, Episode 6. I think that's actually a really good turn in terms of how it's been dealing with the upcoming, not necessarily crisis, but confrontation. And I think the important thing about that really makes it work is it really is a show that's the main character is deciding to live a quiet life in the countryside, and so there does need to be some conflict to some degree, I think, but at the same time the show, I think, is staying within its boundaries pretty well by trying to keep it quiet life in the countryside-ish, and it's finding a way to handle that's that way. That's actually pretty nice and convincing and entertaining enough. Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. Episode 6. Holy fucking shit. Great episode. I'm not sure if I would necessarily say that, like, everything up to the end was necessarily everything that was great, but pretty much this is like everything I would have wanted out of the show. I'm hoping that it didn't run out of steam, but it feels like it hasn't. Like, it hasn't. There's a lot of things it hasn't used yet. It's a very entertainingly executed, especially the first half of it. I don't think the second half was bad by any stretch of the imagination, but just that first half, holy shit. Good stuff. Let me see. Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy. Did I update that? I think I did. Season 2, Episode 6. I think this was a great episode. There wasn't as much conflict as it feels like there actually was, but it felt like there was finally some absurdly relevant interactions that happened. And that says a lot, considering the last couple of episodes didn't feel bad in that regard. Just maybe not spectacular. And yeah, spectacular things happened in this episode. Nice things. And then 'tis time for Torture Princess, Episode 6. A very amusing episode. I think I just keep liking to finish my anime watching week by watching that, because I can be guaranteed to put it on and just kind of giggle a little bit. It continues to be amusing. It doesn't prove itself to be a one-trick pony. It continues to just be kind of this heartwarming, silly show that has a lot of thought between each episode. Maybe in some ways similar to Delicious in Dungeon in terms of it's just doing a good job of giving us things to think about. Alright. Anything else to talk about? Dead by Daylight. I'd never tried the Lights Out mod. And I'm probably not going to, because I'm just spending most of my energy just trying to make Valentine's Day work. In particular, I'm just trying to make a lot of chocolate-covered strawberries. Probably more than I've ever made in any one year. I've already done 46 of them tonight, and I've got 2 more boxes of strawberries to go through, and they're, the little boxes. So probably there's going to be a total of 90 when I'm said and done, because I'm going to do another batch of stuff tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have the time to do all that. But yeah, basically, I'm just preparing Valentine's chocolate-covered strawberries for coworkers who might want any. This time there's just so many that I don't think anybody can say, oh, no, I guess I can't have any. Nope, you can have some for sure. But anything else? Yeah, I did end up playing a lot of Dead by Daylight, because while Lights Out wasn't something I ended up playing, I did realize that the tome there was a tome for it. And it's like, okay, well, should I do that? Should I do that? The answer is I should do that, or kind of give up on Dead by Daylight. But yeah, there's some neat banners and some neat badges. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think I want this stuff, so I'm not giving up just yet. But I'm definitely being exhausted, not doing much else video game wise, just trying to, I guess, keep my energy together. Well, that's one of the problems with growing old, and also going into a weekend with a migraine and then getting a second migraine Saturday. So tricky stuff. trying to think if maybe I'm not completely out of it. Like, maybe I can tell if this eye looks a little bloodshot. It's really hard to tell in the little camera there. But I do feel a bit of pressure there, as if maybe that could be happening again. Oh well. Fun stuff. And Lethal Company, we're continuing to be fun. But I think that wraps up everything I could maybe talk about. Y'all, have a nice week. And a happy Valentine's Day.